an impromptu live. We haven't fallen off on the artist way, but this weekend, let me just get into this week. So, this week on the artist way, we're talking about recovering a sense of power. And as you could tell, me and my accountability group for this ended up really wanting a little bit more time on this week. We just have a lot going on in our own lives. So let me just go ahead and jump into some of the biggest challenges and wins I've personally been facing. Biggest challenges, what did I write? Oh, rest. Yeah, my rest game has been so weak, y'all. I have been staying up late with my new friends and housemates, which is lovely. I love the social energy, but just reflecting on the last 6 weeks and honestly my last year, it just made me realize how much I do need to. Hopefully this one isn't. Damn it, Chicago, windy city, windy city. We'll see how this goes. This is a whole big experiment. But circling back, it just this year has been a year of a lot of activity and a lot of moving around and a lot of exploration, but not so much rest. And I'm just letting the wind blow because I know, even though it doesn't sound bad for me, it might sound kind of horrible. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it just definitely came to a pass specifically this weekend. Um, Rest has been difficult. I've also just been dealing with difficult clients that, uh, even circling back to last week, week two, we talked about the crazy makers. And I think two and three are very linked with the artist way because once you identify those crazy makers in your life, they make you mad. And it makes you mad that you've allowed that to happen in your life. And it makes you mad about, okay, now I'm stuck with them with the conscious awareness that they're driving me crazy. So, but of course, one of the biggest themes for this week is that anger is fuel. Oh, there's a little kid running off. Cute. Is that anger is fuel. So hopefully she can go in the chat. I think she's about to. Anger is fuel. So anger definitely gets my energy going, but it's important. I feel like anger is definitely multi-directional inherently. But the two big arenas of anger I deal with is anger that keeps me stuck or feeling shame, or anger that is used for fuel and action. And that is definitely been a big theme for me throughout this year, this journey, but specifically something I want to put less into cerebral awareness and more into action and how I behave and how I navigate things. I really do want to generally just step away from overthinking. I love thinking. I love overthinking. I love talking, but less talking, more action. Let's get into that. So yeah, anger as fuel is a big theme. Oh my gosh, and I totally missed to say my wins. One of my clients. This is like such a bittersweet win. But one of my clients is my first creative client. I got to work with this amazing theater company here in Chicago called Refracted Theater, and do this honestly beyond incredible show that just wrapped yesterday called Tambo and Bones. And I did a diversity and inclusion related work on this project, but it talking about synchronicity, which also comes up in this week. So synchronicity, you might also know it as serendipity. It's about when you want something and you start putting that energy towards like the manifestation of it. I sound so woo. Oh my gosh. Honestly, I still have a lot of questions about manifestation myself, but what I mean by like it's like a coincidence. Like, oh, when you're thinking about something, you think you want something, and then it appears. Synchronicity is that, and that specifically happened with this project, Tambo and Bones, with Refracted Theater Company. Because at the time, I was in Washington D.C. and I wanted to come back to Chicago. I didn't know how to stay long term, and I also was thinking I want to do more creative work in my life. And then within an hour, I kid you not, like I ended up like updating my rates and a lot of things on my freelance site that I use. And then within an hour of thinking that, making that change, they reached out to me asking if I wanted to be involved in this project. So this project has just been such an incredible gift. When I was thinking about the crazy makers and anger as fuel, like it's so easy to give all your energy to the thing that is causing you frustration. But I really had to actively reshift that and focus on, okay, which clients do I love? Who is aligning with my work collaboration style, my communication style, and let me focus my energy in supporting that, being present in that, and amplifying that. And that this specific project was just ended yesterday, so I'm feeling a lot of feels, but ultimately a lot of pride that I got to be part of such an incredible team of really competent, conscientious, like true allied people, truly value. Am I crying? Like an emo baby. Truly value aligned collaborators who care about creativity, who care about justice, who care about having empathic conversations and making change in the world. It's just such an incredible gift. I absolutely do not take it for granted. And definitely a win, but I'm also just sad that it's over and hopefully just the beginning. Of course, there'll be new theater projects, and I do feel like there is a positive reckoning coming with this type of work, this type of alignment in future collaborations, and finding those people in your tribe, or making sure that they can find you, which is what this YouTube channel is about, and this is what I want to be putting my energy towards, because it's so easy to be trapped in that sense of learned helplessness. Like when you're dealing with frustrations in the world, it's so easy to just highlight all the things that you can't do, all the ways that you are disempowered. But it's so important to remember your power and to focus on the good. Yeah, and one thing I was doing with that play was leading post show reflections, a discourse forum with the audience. And in the last one I went to, or I was facilitating, one of my friends came and she said the most beautiful thing. There's so many themes to the play, including racism, being a black artist, and just the inherent exploitation that comes with being an artist. People want to hear your pain, exploit it, and it kind of feels exploitative to use your own pain in this way to ultimately get money and support your own livelihood. But anyway, we talk, and there's also a lot of themes of capitalism, which has got me thinking about like, just let me not even get into that. But financial insecurity has been such a huge source of disempowerment for me, even though from the outside looking in, and a lot of my friends, old and new, recognize the power that I have as someone who's outside of the 9 to 5 grind. Meanwhile, I recognize my disempowerment by not having reliable income. So again, it's so important to just always acknowledge your privilege and power. But what my friend said in one of our post show discussions was is how important it is to like in this terms of social impact and like trying to make positive change in the world, how you need to love the oppressed more than you hate your oppressor, because ultimately if you're focused on the latter, hating your oppressor, your motivation will be revenge, and you'll be trying to approximate to your oppressor's power. And there's the play is a cautionary tale. It's so excellent. I recommend y'all seeing it. It ended yesterday, but it's I know this play is just it's already shown in so many cities. This is the first time it's shown in Chicago. It. I know. I hope it will reach you at some point. It's so excellent. I can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be wherever it shows next. It's going to be incredible. Definitely keep an eye out on it. And if you're in Chicago, definitely follow Refracted Theater because they're fucking incredible. There's no other way to put it. But yeah, just that where you're putting your energy. Are you putting it towards love and support of others and yourself, or are you putting it towards hate and frustration? And energetically, it's important to release your frustration, but it gets to that point where it does become rumination. So yeah, anger is fuel, and the fuel can go into all these different types of machines and take all these types of forms and create all these types of byproducts. So always pay attention to what you are feeding, what you are fueling specifically. And for me, I'm going to call myself out. I'm definitely a ruminator, woe is me. And another thing, my second gem from this week is the talk of shame and how that can pop up when you are in those moments of empowerment and action, especially if you're doing new things, especially if you're doing things that weren't allowed for you as a child. Because being an artist, expressing creativity, our society treats it as a luxury, a privilege to. It's not something that is necessarily prioritized or really, yeah, it's not necessarily prioritized. So really investing in my art and creative self does feel like a luxury. So it also makes it feel really high stakes. Like if you're not excellent, what the fuck are you doing? And that is the shame. If y'all watch Big Mouth, what do they call it? The shame wizard speaking out on that. But it's like, and it's natural to have shame around this, even if you are feeling powerful, because you hold yourself to a high standard, which has worked for you in a lot of spaces. Like when we think about navigating capitalism, navigating society globally, it's what it's like putting in effort, working hard, being productive are all ways that you move up in the world or at least maintain your place and gain safety. But those same tools don't necessarily work when it comes to rediscovering your artist self. It's more about nurturing any sort of emotional neglect or any trauma or harms that have been caused to you in the past. And you can't necessarily, honestly, not even can't necessarily, you cannot brute force your way through healing. It does its thing. It's out of your control. It's kind of a relinquishing of power and also a relinquishing of ego, which is something I honestly still need to reflect on too. Um, and the third thing I wrote, which brought me here right in this moment, like usually I do this in the comfort of my home. Like I just went on my phone for this because the third thing it brought up is the importance of showing up. Again, I'm trying to be more action oriented, but there's a big inner perfectionist in me that I feel like is the logical part of me feels like it's necessary to protect the perfectionist in me because it protects me from shame or harmful criticism. There's a lot of I'm still considering about my own ego. I've heard about people going through ego death because, not because, I've heard of people going through that. And that is something that fascinates me because I think about all the ways that my ego may hold me back. But I think I need to more, I'm curious to explore what an ego death would mean for me and what exactly that would mean relinquishing. So when I think of ego, I think of my built up outer self and all the things I do to protect and maintain that. So, like, one thing that I look at positively when I think of an ego death is shame, or because if I am not trying to protect a sense of self, I have nothing to lose by expressing myself through art and creativity, by navigating the world in a way that is truly authentic to myself. So yeah, I'm still very much mid thought in that. I wrote something in my journal today. It was kind of morbid, but it is what it is. I'm an emo kid at heart. And yeah, I said I've been thinking about killing my ego. What does that mean? What will be left? How will it feel to have its blood on my hands? Because we're still talking about death here. There's still a loss, so we can't just. It's not a binary like, oh, I'm losing all these negatives and gaining a positive. Like you're still it's a death, and a death is monumental in all forms. Take its life. What does that mean? Yeah, there's a lot to think about, and I'm definitely going to continue to reflect on ego because when I think of this book, The Artist's Way, I feel like it is an exploration of ego. It's an exploration of yourself in a lot of socio emotional ways, like how you relate to other people, how you try to protect your self image in other people's minds, and how that in turn kind of controls who you think you are and what you feel comfortable going for in life. And especially in this book, possibly even bridging the gap between who you want to be presenting on the outside and who you actually want to be, and allowing yourself the safety to merge those identities and achieve that authenticity, both internally and externally, getting that true alignment on a deep soul level as well as in your external body. Yeah, that's yeah. So in terms of the importance of showing up, I knew like the last couple weeks have been really exhausting. I have kind of fallen off on the book and getting a week done in actually a week, but thank goodness for my accountability group that we allow ourselves both accountability and flexibility because we're human and we want to shed a lot of that productivity tied to worth rhetoric. So we keep each other accountable. We allowed ourselves an extra week because we all needed it, but we're still being very communicative of where we are week over week because we ultimately are committed to completing this this investment in ourselves. So yeah, and in terms of showing up, I realized like I've been taking this weekend. It's so weird. I was like, I'm not gonna do the artist way. I deeply need rest. I deeply need time alone to reflect and figure out my life and feel this balance. And then today I read the book and it talks about the importance of spending time alone and solitude, reflecting, getting in touch with yourself and nurturing yourself and kind of spoiling yourself. So I just allowed myself like the laziest most solitary day yesterday, and it was excellent because I haven't been sleeping well. So allowing myself to go to bed at 3 p.m. and kind of just chill, catch up on shows, nap, wake up, and also nest because I just moved to a new place. So decorating my place in a way that felt comfortable, allowed for your creativity. It was all very self nurturing, and then I was like, shit, now I'm behind on the book. And then I read it today and I'm like, well, damn. And then that importance of showing up because I was also thinking, oh my gosh, I won't have time to like create my outline for my live, all this stuff. And again, like circling back to the whole perfection thing. And I just need to move forward. So I've finished the reading and I realized it's kind of nice outside and I wanted to try something different. So why not just do the live right here now? Okay, now you've caught up to exactly the minute I'm in. Um, I don't have my regular outline with me, as you can probably tell. I'm outside. But one final thing I like to wrap up with is the new song I'm going to add to my Artist Way playlist. I had so many contenders throughout the week. I'm just going to say the honorable mentions. Level Up by Sierra. I keep on quoting this song, less talking, more action, because it's all about that empowerment and not settling. Like, what does she say? I'm glad I never settled. This view is so much better. I'm grinding on another. Not a. I don't have this completely memorized, but okay, I should not be humming it. I'm gonna get. Okay, stop it. And another one that was an honorable mention while I was journaling today was "Numb" by Linkin Park because some of the elements of reading about shame and seeking external validation comes from how I and like many of us were conditioned as children who went through the K through 12 system. Like our actions were given grades since we were 5. And so when we create something, even in an artistic space, we do seek that approval. And one thing that the book really emphasized is how important it is to protect your artist self because it's so vulnerable. It's showing its emotion, its vulnerability, itself, its healing. It's so many things. So to put something out there that represents your healing and to receive any sort of valid or invalid criticism is very horrifying to the point that it may stop people from truly getting to that place where they feel that safety to express. Um, but yeah, it's really, and this talks about how I don't really remember the specific outcome that it said in the book for that, but it just made me realize that like sometimes like we're all social creatures, very interconnected, but ultimately the relationship with yourself is the most important to nourish. So if I'm feeling those feelings where I'm creating art or I want to do something, but I think it's hard for me to do stuff that I don't feel particularly good at. There's a lot of things I've identified interest in, and I've done it maybe once or twice in the last year, like comedy, acting, all these things. And allowing yourself to be a humble beginner and celebrating yourself along the way, giving yourself that internal encouragement because you're going to see your progress. You're going to see those micro changes, and it's going to be very exciting for you on that journey. But not saying that you don't have supportive people in your life, but ain't no one can celebrate you like you, especially when you are so in tune with your own growth and wants and your progress. Like that's incredible. So it's important to be that parent to yourself and give yourself your flowers when you deserve it, big or small, or allow you that comfort, that nourishment when you do receive that criticism, being able to differentiate between valid and invalid criticism. And yeah, like it's all about self love on this journey. So yeah, my second song, honorable mention was Numb by Linkin Park because, oh my gosh, my emo middle school self, anthem. Siblings also love this song because it's very much about like trying to be what you want me to be, feeling so little. Every step that I take is another mistake for you. Like, it's so I've definitely, as I've deviated from the path I was on, being an engineering graduate, to where I am now, I feel like I've been making a lot of steps and I've had to hold those boundaries with those who didn't envision this life for me or didn't encourage this life in me. Okay, maybe for them it's a mistake, but for me it's healing. For me it is feeling more and more at home, being in my body, feeling how I feel, the way I collaborate with others. I'm like, this is work? What? Like, just all, like, we're only at the precipice, but just all that's possible when you align yourself with who you are, you realize, like, okay, of course there's going to be struggles. I'm constantly thinking about the struggles and all the things I can't do, but what can I do? Again, back to the action, back to acknowledging my own power, what I'm going to fuel. Okay, I made this connection here. Okay, I love them. Let's nurture this. Let's support them. Let's grow this. Like, your fuel can spark growth in whatever direction you go. It can spark your frustration, your rumination, your stuckness, or it can propel you forward. It can build that inertia towards your goal. And that is the shift I'm really excited about specifically this week. And let me actually get to the song I actually chose. It's I was actually singing it to myself this morning when I was washing my hair. Move Along by the All American Rejects. When everything is wrong, we move along. It's not about being perfect at any moment. That cannot be the standard because we're humans. We're going to need times to rest. Uh, when everything is wrong, we have to move forward. We always have to take those big or small steps. And and don't get this twisted with productivity. We're not about that here. We're talking about whatever step you need for whatever you need next. Like yesterday, I needed rest. That was an active thing, like opting out of all these potential social opportunities just to give myself that time and energy to deeply and unapologetically rest was so important. That was me moving forward to I needed that time for rest and reflection to move forward to getting into my creator mode or whatever will come next. Anything is possible. But yeah, with that, the sun is setting soon because daylight savings has ended. I hope y'all have an amazing week and happy fall. How do I turn this off from my phone? I don't know.